Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. In this episode, I want to show you how I got this photo in Montreal and, finding the right light and finding the right composition. But before we get started, I want to show you the winner of my little challenge that I did back a few weeks ago. The challenge was that I gave a photo with a sky to be replaced. And the winner is my friend MC4 Photography from Morocco. You will find the link of his Instagram below this video. He has 2,429 followers on Instagram. He's from Morocco. Future auditor, photographer. Buying a camera doesn't make you a photographer. Check out his work. It's really cool, and I love what he did with my photo. I gave him a raw file. He had some sky. He did like a very dark, dramatic look, but it looks so good. So good that he was really the one that I picked. So very well done for MC4 Photography. All right, now back on today's topic. I'm here in Lightroom, and that's the photo that I have picked. But before I came to this, let me tell you a little story of my little photo walk, and maybe it will inspire you for finding the right composition. So here I am in Lightroom. I'm going to show you from the start what I did, and I started off. I usually, I start my photo walks around, I want to say like the sunset was around 9, so around 8 o'clock. So I started off Quai de l'Horloge in Montreal, and I thought, wow, just doing some location scouting about an hour before sunset, so it was not the right light. But first I'm looking for ideas to shoot. I mean, this could be cool, great framing. I mean, there's a lot of people, maybe with the right light it can be cool. I walked all around, and the first of all, what I do is I try to take some photos with the boring light to see how it's gonna go, and trying to find the right composition. It started to rain, so I had a big raindrop here. I thought I love the sun there, but then the rest of the composition was boring, cars, a bit of a building, nothing special to show. So then I moved on. I went back to that little place here in Quai de l'Horloge. It really reminds me of the Institut de France in Paris, a beautiful building, and there was a lot of people. So I had this idea of maybe if I underexpose the photo, let me open up the shelf so you see. And if I underexpose the photo, I'm going to boost the white so you can see a little bit more what's going on here, and bring down the highlights. Maybe. All right. I said, why not this? But I can try getting rid of all the people in Photoshop. I took multiple shots of the photo, and this would, there is tutorials that I did on the subject how to get rid of tourists, where you take multiple shots. Check out. I'm going to put the link below the video. I tried different framing with little panels. You see how much I underexpose because I love the drama look, and I really want to make sure that I get all this, clouds there, and get really the details of the clouds. That's really what I'm going for. But again, the light was kind of boring, so I said, okay, I would never publish a photo like this just because the light is really boring and there's too much people. So then I found a rooftop. I went into the walking street that was there, and I found a rooftop, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool, a rooftop. And let me retouch this photo really quick. Open up the shadows, open up the white, so you see a little bit more what's going on, the blacks. And I would definitely lower the sky here with the exposure, maybe add some magenta a bit in the sky. I don't know why. I love magenta. And it's kind of nice, but I'm like, oh, the light here is nice, but the bottom is kind of boring. So all right, I'm gonna hang around on the rooftop and wait. And then I discovered that behind the rooftop was a cool view. No, that's the back view I had from the rooftop. Anyway, so what I did then, I waited for the light, and I said, okay, I'm going to try different panoramas. So I started doing little panoramas, but the clouds were kind of all right, but the light was not that cool. It was not that cool because the sunset was not there. And then I realized, and I looked back and I saw this view. That's the back view. I'm like, ooh, I like this view. Right now it's very dark, but maybe it's going to be more interesting when the light comes on. So anyways, while I was waiting, I was taking different panoramas of this view from the rooftop, waiting for the light, trying to see, if there are some cool panels that I can make. I was even testing the panorama, possibilities of the Sony A7S. You can do panoramas directly in camera. you know. And I'm like, yeah, it's a JPEG, you know, it makes a JPEG. I don't like JPEG, so I'm not gonna use that option. And you know, then it started to get really dark. So when it gets dark, I said, okay, I need to wait for the CD lights to come on. So let me reset this one. So now the CD light starts coming on. So I kind of like that. Okay, open up the shadows, you know, boost the whites, add some contrast, some vibrance, some saturation, and change the white balance to shade, add a bit of magenta, too much magenta, let's lower this. Because there's a lot of magenta around sunset. And maybe add even, maybe a little bit of clarity and a little bit more vibrance. And lower the sky. The sky is too bright. So, and I'm like, yeah, why not? It's kind of cool, you know. It's not a bad photo, but it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't bring emotion to me. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't do justice to me. So I tried with the same retouching to go into portrait mode a little bit later on, and it's alright. You know, it's a decent photo, but again, I was not blown away. And then I just kept on shooting this, you know, waiting for the light to go darker, darker. And by the way, I was shooting by hand. So look at my settings. I always try to go at 1/30th a second, you know, with a 2-second timer. So I press on, it goes 1, 2, and then 1/30th of a second. Usually with a 5x stabilizer in Sony, I get a very sharp photo. I know that. So then I was at 6.3 ISO 400, and the ISO on this camera is pretty good. So then, okay, I just waited for the light to come down. I even started doing HDR. You know, while I was waiting, I was starting to do the HDR of that view there, and let me show you some of the photos that I got. You know, for this one, the light really started coming on. You know, and you know, it's an okay view, but I don't know. I was not really blown away. You know, I was not really blown away by that view. I didn't like the idea of this rooftop here. I like the walking street, makes like a leading line. But I don't know. I was not completely satisfied. This is probably one of the best view, and not even because it's too much rooftop here as a foreground element. So then, you know, I kind of zoomed in a lot. So that's kind of better. So I went at 45 millimeter. I kind of zoomed in. I was at 1/15 of a second, f4 ISO 500, and look at it. It is sharp, because again of the stabilization in the Sony, and you know, and you will see that 500 is not such a big deal. And again, you know, so I'm just showing you a little bit what the photo looks like. Boom, boom, boom. Why not? You know, it could be an okay shot. I like that better. There's less rooftop there. Maybe let's add a bit of thing, and let's go maybe add a little bit of magenta. I don't know why. I have no idea why I'm doing this. And yeah, this one is kind of cool. That's probably one of the best shots that I got. The walking street. The photo's not straight, so you know what? I'm gonna make it straight. I'm actually gonna crop here so that we have less of that rooftop here. That's kind of annoying. And I cropped it wrong, of course. You know, whenever you do live video, things happens. Okay, that's pretty much straight. And all right, that's kind of like the best shot that I got. But you know, the clouds are gone now, so the light is kind of cool from the bottom. I like, you know, the composition is all right. So anyways, I kept on shooting this, and here's a couple of more that I did retouch that night. You know, with more contrast. You know, get more as you get into the night, more you get contrast. Now look at the setting on this one. This one was my final settings, I believe. 1/30th of a second. I went back to 1/30th of a second because 1:15 I had a few blurry shot at f4. ISO 100. Now I'm shooting this with a Sony A7S. Sony 7S because I broke my Sony 7R2, which is on repair, and so it's not doesn't have a lot of pixel, but look at 1000 ISO, you can hardly see any noise. It's actually pretty crazy what you get. Let me see. Maybe I did some noise reduction on this one. I didn't even do noise reduction, and I'm 1000 ISO, and I don't see any noise. That's pretty crazy for a camera. Sony 7S is the best noise camera on the planet. And finally, so I wanted to go back home, and I turn around and I find a little pass down the stairs, and I come to this. I'm like, oh my gosh, this view. And that's how it looked like now. That's the retouch photo. And let me show you, that's the non-retouch photo. Actually not, it's not. Let me show, I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna create a virtual copy of this one. and I'm going to reset it. So I'll show you how I did that. So I tried many things. I love the view because there was, blue hour. There was some clouds up there. Shot this at 1/32 f4 ISO 200. This time ISO 200. So there's probably a bit of noise. But check this out. Check this out. So I think what I did is I put up the shadows. And you see how underexposed the photo is, but you open the shadows and you boost the white, and you don't get that much noise. I did a bit of black. I did a bit of contrast, I believe. And the highlights, I think the highlights maybe, let me see. What I can always take, I take my reference photo and I see. So I boosted the exposure, add a lot of contrast, didn't touch the highlights, shadows, black, and minus clarity. Wow. Okay, so highlights I did about this, and I boosted a little bit. And then let me see, what was the white balance that I did? 729251. So 7292 is probably around shade. No, shade and a little bit of magenta. Something like this. Okay. But to really make the photos, go to a next level, first of all, I'm going to lower the exposure of the sky here by lowering the exposure. Not that much. Just a little bit. And what I did also is probably, I took a brush. I like that. I took a brush, and on this brush I added exposure and a bit of yellow, and I just bring back even more light here, and I'm kind of overdoing it, but here, and here, and here, adding some yellow, maybe a bit of magenta, a bit of clarity, and not so much clarity and not so much exposure, but just bringing back a little bit. The glow from the city can do a long, something pretty good. Then I added a lot of contrast, a bit of vibrance and saturation. And I love this photo. You know what it reminds me? It reminds me the comic books from I was reading, in the 80s I was reading a lot of Spider-Man, like, the view from Spider-Man in New York. Yeah, you can see that he's going to jump on the buildings. I don't know, it just reminds me this sort of comic book look. Let's see here if I did something different. Yeah, I cropped the photo a bit more, and I did minus clarity. So I did an overall minus clarity to give it a more natural result, and I cropped a little bit of the rooftop here. I think a little bit of the rooftop, something like to make it a little bit more panorama, something like that. Yeah, and I also made this part of the rooftop a little darker. See that part here? You can go to exposure. It's going to put everything down to 0, a little darker. And it's funny, at the end of the day, that was really my favorite photo. I'm actually going to give you this photo as part of the raw file so you can play around. Please do not sell it. Just play around with it so you can see. But now let's look at the noise, because it was shot by hand at 2000 ISO. So you can hardly see any noise here, even at 2000 ISO. I mean, this Sony A7S is crazy, but it has a bit of noise. So what I usually do when there is noise like this, I go around like 20, 30 on noise reduction, and then I put my sharpener around 70. So 70 plus 30 makes 100. I always make sure that my noise and my sharpening adds up to 100. Then I'm going to do my masking. I'm going to hold on to masking, and I'm going to do my masking. Anything which is black is not going to get sharpened. I don't want to sharpen anything from the sky, so I just want to sharpen the edge. So now I got noise reduction, and you can hardly see any noise. And it's a pretty cool shot. I really like it. So that was my best photo of the day. And that was my best photo of the day. At the end of the day, that's really the one that I like the most. And it's funny, you go for shooting the walk and streak, you end up taking a photo from the back of the building. But voila, that was my adventure here in Montreal. I'm going to do a little photo walk tonight on the 4th of July at 8 o'clock at the Hôtel de Ville. Alright, so I want also to make a little game with you. I'm going to give you the raw file of this photo. So you saw how I retouched it. This is the original raw file. This is how I retouched it. And I'm going to give you the raw file. You can download it with the link under this video. And then all you have to do is retouch it like you want. Post it on, you can put this on Facebook or on Instagram. And just tag @PhotoSerge in the photo so that I can see it. I can see you retouching. Then please write follow @PhotoSerge to see if my photo wins. #PhotoSerge Montreal. So this way, other people can follow me, but also if you use the hashtag Serge Montreal, you can see what everybody else is doing with the same photo. And the winner, mesdames et messieurs, is going to be in my newsletter, which is what MC Photography is going to be into. It's going to be in my newsletter, and is going to be, which is going to a lot of people and all over my social media. So you can potentially reach hundreds of thousands of people with your Instagram account or your website if you win, because I will also promote your website if you want to. So voila, just download the raw file, you do your own retouching, post it on Instagram. Don't forget the little instruction here. Tag me at PhotoSearch, follow at PhotoSearch to see if my photo wins. Hashtag PhotoSearch Montreal so you can see what everybody else is doing. And I will see you in another video, mesdames et messieurs.